Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd like to call the September Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee meeting to order, and in proper fashion. We're always a step ahead on August 30th. First item of business, I'd like to call on Vice Chairman Commissioner Gooch for approval of our minutes.
Motion to approve.
What do you say, Commissioner?
We have a cookie monster motion to approve.
Cookie.
And we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
See what you done.
Did I call the meeting to order? It's going to be a good night. Next, we need to fill 2 vacancies on the Codes Enforcement Adjustments and Appeals Board. Commissioners, I believe we received 2 applicants. You've received those, Mr. Bumpus and Mr. Alexander. I don't see either one of them here. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion to approve the 2 and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It will be recommended. Next, we need to fill a vacancy. Actually, we did need to fill a vacancy on the Road Board and School Board Zones Committee. However, we received 0 applicants for that. Keep in mind, Commissioners, I guess we have until the September 21st commission meeting. If anybody does apply, we can present them as applicants there. That's kind of if we receive one there. But as for this committee, we do not have one.
I got a question.
Okay.
What if nobody applies for it, and this is the, you know, we put this together, and everybody was supposed to, it was supposed to be one, all in one, so I may not be asking the right question, but I got a concern if someone doesn't apply. It was no different. We talked about Laverne and Smyrna didn't send in anybody. You know, the rural area is not being represented. You know, so that's a.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know we have until that commission meeting that someone could possibly apply till. If they don't, I would assume that the order would be to re-announce the vacancy.
Okay.
And just to continue on. I mean, I guess we can consider this a re-announcement of the vacancy.
Do you know how many times that they've met already? Do they got any information
Twice.
there as far as the road board, school board, redistricting committee?
They've met
They've
twice.
met several times.
They have met several, are
Yes,
they?
have. So
Are
they've
they?
looked at some scenarios and sort of narrowed 4 scenarios down to maybe 2 that they're looking at, you know, more carefully. So, yeah, they've been moving right along.
Well, let me ask this another question then, I guess. If nobody applies, and Corey Young, I mean, he's on the school board, that's 2 school board members, I mean, is there a problem with him coming off there?
Well, I think there might be some discussion about that. I mean, thinking that the school board has more leverage than the road board, for example. I would prefer that we find an independent person from the unincorporated area.
Yeah, it needs to be an unincorporated, because, you know, already got Laverne residents, you've got Smyrna residents, you've got Murfreesboro residents. I mean, the unincorporated area is.
I think it's incumbent on the chairperson to see if he can recruit somebody.
Here we
And
go.
if he wants me to, I'll help him.
You know those conversations you have, they tend to come back and get you.
This is
The meeting, the commission meeting is the 13th.
Oh, it's the 13th, I'm sorry. 13th is the next road board, school board zones committee meeting is the
September 25.
25, okay.
Okay,
So the commission meeting would be before that
We
meeting.
can get someone to submit an application and be presented at the September 13th commission meeting. You can have a full committee. You did, at the initiation of that committee, you did say that you weren't going to formulate the committee until it was fully, every position was fully filled.
And that's why I bring it up, because I was one of the ones that brought that up, because we didn't have Laverne and Smyrna at that time. You know, it should be fully operational and fully That's my.
I think it was still the
I think it
election.
was, yeah.
But it's still not
It's not
now.
now.
It's not now.
No.
And the unincorporated area of Rutherford County residents are not being, well, represented. And I, along with some others here, represent unincorporated areas.
It sounds like the chairman's gonna reach out and try to see if we can get somebody.
We'll see what we can do in recruiting somebody before the September 13th commission meeting. And in addition to that, we'll kind of research a little bit as to what would the status of the full committee be should all the
Get somebody from your area.
the positions not be represented.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next, we need to fill a vacancy on the beer board. Commissioners have received 2 applications, one from Michael Anderson and another one, Jason Mathis, which I passed around earlier. Mr. Anderson did call me last night or the night before and say that he was not going to be able to be here due to his work schedule. I think he's a fireman, so he's on shift tonight. However, I think he's currently serving as a alternate, beer board alternate. Is that correct? It says reappointment here, but I believe that's from being an alternate there.
Is it 2 vacancies on there or just one?
Just one. It's to fill David Nipper's unexpired term.
Right,
Is
right,
one.
right.
Now, if Mr. Anderson was to get elected, then there would be a vacancy as an alternate, beer board alternate, which we would announce tonight. But that's after we vote on this. Mr. Mathis is in the audience. If y'all would like to, Mr. Mathis, if you'd like to address the committee and share anything with us.
My name is Jason Mathis. I'm a lifelong member, community member of Rutherford County. Currently serve as a sheriff's deputy at the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, where I've been for approximately 15 years. Currently oversee about 22 guys in the Special Enforcement Bureau. First and foremost, at home, I'm a father. Got 2 small children. I've also recently adopted a 17-year-old. It was my niece that I adopted, and it's a big life-changing experience for me. I've been quite some part of the beer board for a few months now. I've helped some of the guys in my unit lead up the fight against these synthetic drugs in some of these stores, and over the past few months, I've really become interested in this and really looked into the laws and as a citizen here, I'm first and foremost also for these small businesses, and I would like to see them strive, and I'd like to see them abide by the guidelines. I do not have a problem at all with the alcohol sales or anything like that for these businesses. I just would like to be a part of making sure that they're in compliance in doing so. I've made it a point to attend a lot of the beer board meetings, both testifying in cases in point where we've had these stores up for violations of the synthetic drugs. I've been there with the compliance checks that our SRO division has completed for the underage consumption of alcohol. Done a lot of research in it. I would like to see some of the laws being stiffened up through our legislation. I'd like to take it through the legislation and get some of it changed. I'd like to see more compliance checks done. I believe it's the obligation of the beer board to see to it that they ask the sheriff's office to assist them in investigations with these stores to make sure they're in compliance. It's not the sheriff's obligation, however, it's his decision to choose to do that. I believe that we are public servants, and it's our job to do that and make sure that our community is being taken care of, and it starts there. Some of the very crimes that our community do not see are those crimes that are taking place inside these stores. It's not just the beer sales, it's the other things that they're doing. Some of these stores are actually selling illicit narcotics, as well as the synthetic drugs. And it's becoming a problem, slowly but surely. So again, not against the businesses. I would just like to see these businesses be held accountable if they're not doing the right thing. So therefore, I would ask that you give me consideration to be a voting member of that board.
Questions from Mr. Mathis?
Question. You said that you've testified for the to the beer board on some investigations that you've done.
Yes.
Would that potentially be a conflict of interest if you were conducting an investigation and then you're on the beer board to make a decision?
I've asked that very question. I've not been able to give an answer. In the past, when I had testified against it, it were in fact a case that were actually mine. I'm actually the captain over the special enforcement now. I don't actively investigate those cases. I am a part of those investigations, at sometimes, or I've handed those investigations to the officers. Again, I guess that would be a question needed to be discussed with you guys. I have asked, I've put in a call to the county attorney as well to ask to have his opinion of it, and I've not gotten their answer on it.
Mr. Mayor, do you have a comment on that maybe, or?
I don't know for sure, but I would believe that if he is the investigator, or if one of his people that he supervises investigates, I think it might be difficult for him to participate. He might have to recuse himself on that particular case only.
Okay.
Well, with that being said, if that scenario happened, we got 2 alternates in place, and one of them,
One alternate.
one alternate, excuse me, I thought it was one, 2, is it just one?
It may be one.
Well,
I think
could
you're
it
right.
be, could it be,
Or 2.
could it be that, I'm just saying, if it was that scenario, the alternate couldn't step up and
Right.
be the voting member. I don't, that's just my thought.
Also, too, for what I've read, it's the beer board's responsibility to investigate these stores. And I believe that if we can make it through the legislation and get it to where we're similar to what the ABC does. The ABC does a compliance check with these bars and stores that sell liquor by the drink. They're allowed to do compliance checks with them. It's basically a warrantless search. If that's the case, my experience as an investigator would really greatly assist the beer board with having that. I don't see where it would be a conflict there, because my experience would lead me to be able to do those compliance checks. And if I'm the one that found them to be not in compliance, me sitting on the board would very well just be able to offer the rest of the board, not just my opinion, but an educated opinion and legal advice as far as that matter goes.
Any other questions?
But still, yeah, I myself personally would like to hear this from the county attorney. I hate to make the decision tonight and then find out next week that it is a conflict. To me, we got time to get a decision from him, because I think he would make a good asset to the committee, no doubt. But I'd hate to put him on the committee and then we find out there's a conflict. So I would like to see us get a county attorney opinion, legal opinion, before we make a decision on this position.
I don't know, are they meeting again? We're also fixing to announce 2 vacancies on the beer board for next month as well, so what that means to us either.
Right now, if we deferred this to the next meeting, would the board still be intact to be able to make decisions?
If they have the 2 alternates, they can continue.
They do got 2 alternates. Okay.
Well, this first applicant would be coming off as alternate.
Right.
So, and we still have to put in a notification then for alternate also?
If Mr. Anderson was approved or recommended.
Well, Mr. Anderson, he's not coming off as an alternate. You're not announcing his vacancy, are you, next time?
I think so.
Is it next time?
I think it's this time. I think we're supposed to do it
I
this time.
think if he was, well, I think what I'm saying,
If he was
if he was
selected.
selected.
So if he was selected.
Oh,
Right,
so
that-
Yes,
there would be
yes.
an
Then
opening.
you'd have to announce his next
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Well, Vicky said do it this time.
I-
If he
Oh, if
was
he's selected
selected,
tonight,
only
yeah.
if
we
he's
can announce it
selected.
now.
Yeah,
I
we
got-
could
I got
announce
you.
it tonight.
Okay, correct.
Mr. Chairman, I think we got a fine candidate right here, but I'm ready to make a motion
All right.
that Mr. Anderson be elected on the beer board. And this gives you the position, an opportunity for us to get a feedback from the county attorney's office, because you got some other positions coming up here next month, either as alternate or on the beer board itself. So you have another shot to get 2 to 3 positions right there.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. We have
Because
a-
I'd like to see you on the beer board,
I'd like to encourage.
but I
Mr.
think tonight, we don't have the answer over there. And we can put this person in that's been an alternate, that's a good member, and carry on business. But then it gives you an opportunity next month to come back in here as an applicant. My opinion. My opinion.
I don't think the beer board's gonna be meeting, I think we can postpone it. The selection and get an opinion and then do it,
Well, we have a task here at hand to fill this one position tonight. And then we're announcing, you look on down 5 there, or excuse me, 4, the next one, announcing 2 vacancies right there.
Well,
And then there's gonna be alternate
well,
positions.
they're not gonna be, they can all be filled at the same meeting.
Could be, but we've taken care of business tonight on one.
Well, my thought on that, and what Mr. Matthews was saying, is that it's the beer board's position to investigate stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's their job to investigate, and he's got the experience, and he does an investigation, then that's his job. There wouldn't be a conflict of interest.
I wouldn't think, but I'm not an attorney.
We have a motion to recommend Mr. Anderson to the full commission, and we have a second. Any discussion specifically on that motion? Do we need to do a roll call vote?
You don't have to, but
Okay. All's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The record show 2 no. That's what I heard. Motion passes. Mr. Anderson will be recommended to the full commission for
Come back
But
appointment.
Now,
I'd like to reemphasize, Mr. Mathis, I'd like to see you come back next month
Yeah.
and put in another application.
really,
And I can speak about it, I mean, it's very important to be able to make the meetings,
Yeah.
be able to be there. Anybody that doesn't know me for the last 10 years, I've been a private investigator. And my wife and kids know what it's like to be left at Chili's and have a ride home. So, I do, I think you need to be there. I think if your primary job keeps you from being in meetings, then I think that you're not properly representing your community.
right,
Appreciate you.
okay, why would he have to put in another application when we already got this one?
Well, I mean,
Well,
because the
the-
application was for this
Yeah.
opening.
Yeah, but really, basically, it may be a question that we deferred it because we're waiting on a legal opinion from the county attorney.
Well, we
Well,
really
we
did.
didn't defer it, though.
Okay.
We voted on it.
Yeah, we talked about it, but we didn't actually put him in on that. We get an answer back.
do you want to request a legal opinion?
Yes, if we need to officially request an opinion on that from Mr. Mathis, I would like to do so, thinking that he's gonna apply again, and I hope he does, so it'd be an
Is there a
asset.
motion or just-
We put that in form of a motion? Yes.
Second.
I don't wanna put words in his mouth and apply for him right here, but I think it would be an asset to the committee, to the board, yes.
Commissioners, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that we will announce that alternate vacancy next month.
I would think so.
Instead of this month. All right, now we need to.
We got a
announce-
motion. Got a motion on the floor there.
So,
Request a legal opinion.
oh, okay, I didn't know it was a formal motion. Motion and a second, do we have a second?
Second, I'll second it.
Commissioner Black, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we need to announce 2 vacancies on the beer board. That'll be for Mr. William Murray and Keith Bratcher. Next, we need to announce the following vacancies on the audit committee. That's the school board representative, Wayne Blair, road board representative, Keith Bratcher, and citizen, Jason King. Commissioner, I believe they were just appointed a year ago, but because of the staggered terms, they will be reappointed, or they are open, they are vacant now for possible reappointment, for another 2-year term to begin in September. What's that?
The citizen will be a 4.
And the citizen will be a 4-year term. Thank you. The school board and road board will both be 2-year terms. Okay. All right, next we need to announce 3 vacancies on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Jerry Sartain, alternate Michael Rather, and alternate Jared Barrett. All right, now we have 2012, 2013 standing committees. Hopefully all of you received a copy of this via email, had a chance to review it. And on your sheet, you'd see where 21 commissioners got their first choice, 19 commissioners got their second choice. And appreciate Matt Young and very young Commissioner Gooch being willing to take the third choice, and even Commissioner Gooch took one that wasn't on his list to make it work and be feasible. Everything else worked out really well. We have a motion.
I like it. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I only see one other commissioner here, Commissioner Cook. I don't know if she had, are you thumbs up good? Okay. I like to make sure, because, you know, I mean.
Good job.
Good deal, good deal. Mr. Chairman did a great job. Thank you,
Any
sir.
other discussion on the motion? All's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have a deputy to the mayor. Any parties that would like to, Ms. Stevenson, Mayor, Lisa? Okay. You don't want to just hang out? Okay, right. So you're just right. Commissioners, you remember we looked at this a month ago, and not quite a month ago, and everybody's supposed to provide any feedback to Ms. Stevenson by the 20th to prepare for our meeting on the 30th. And I guess if there are any changes, you'll walk us through that or anything
Yes,
else
sir.
that you have.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I had several, a couple of people to send me some suggestions, some ideas and thoughts from the commission, the Rutherford Neighborhood Alliance, and just for our conversations throughout. So with that, I did a couple of things, and I put them on your iPad. The first part, which is the memo, was on there. It says, based upon the suggestions from the members of the commission and the Rutherford Neighborhood Alliance, the revised job description is attached for the new position in the office of the county mayor, which that is on your iPad. In addition, a resolution has been drafted to cover the other items that were mentioned either in the steering committee meeting on August 6th or via suggestions received. So there were some things that were brought up in our discussion, just some thoughts about what would you do if this happened or this happened. So we've added a resolution because some of the things that were mentioned were items that were not necessarily something that would be in a job description. And they weren't necessarily things that we could do if we didn't have them either in a policy type format or in a resolution type format. So a resolution was created to answer some of those questions or suggestions that people had. Along with the job description or the posting selection process, went through about where the position would be posted. That did not change. That is still the same. Channel 19, our website, the Tennessee Career Center, NTSU's Career Center, Daily News Journal, Murfreesboro Post. We've already gotten the costing, the price for doing that for 2 weeks, and I've added that to it. And then the interview committee, that did not change, still staying with Mayor Burgess, myself, Lisa Nolan, and if this committee so chooses to add a member of this committee to the interview process, if you choose. It's your choice. If you want to, if not, the 3 of us can handle that. The mayor, one of the things that we talked about was whether or not the mayor should make confirmation to this committee and the commission, and there was much discussion around that between this group and also some of the suggestions that came in. And so one of the things that we added was, in the resolution, and that was still something that you may want to discuss, but was,
sentence.
Thank you. Whereas the position of the deputy to the mayor is established, is appointed by and serves at the pleasure of the county mayor with confirmation either to the Board of Commission or for the Board of Commission. So it's one of the two of those, whether he makes his confirmation that he is appointing this person to, just for, as an acknowledgement that that is his choice, and he's saying, here's my choice, and this is the person I want to serve at my pleasure, or he brings it to the commission for that. So that is one of the things that we discussed, not bringing it necessarily before the steering committee, because that practice has not been done in the prior. When we look back at other positions of appointed officials within the county, that has not been the practice. When I researched the other positions in the county that are appointed, when I looked through the processes were the county mayor did the interviews, the finance director, and in some cases, a member of this committee did, and in other cases, they did not. It was just left up to the mayor and some of the director levels at this county, and their confirmation was only done as an acknowledgement of this is the person who will serve in this role. So the things that we discussed before, really, I don't think that we should change what has been common practice of the past.
Ms. Stevenson, a couple of things. Do you want to discuss anything at this point, or are we gonna wait till you finish? Whichever one you like.
I can do it either way, but if you would like to the end, it may answer some of the questions that the group may
Fair
have
enough.
Throughout. So the resolution that was drafted, basically, I've already read the first sentence, but to follow on, it says, whereas the position of deputy to the mayor is approved and is in the best interest of the citizens of Rutherford County, the job description is attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein at length as it is set forth verbatim. And whereas the salary of the deputy to the mayor position will be determined through the normal budgeting process each year, and the appointed designee will be an exempt employee with the same benefits provided to all exempt county employees. And whereas the appointed designee cannot hold the position of deputy to the mayor and that of another elected county position at the same time. And whereas the appointed designee cannot be a person with immediate family members as defined in the Rutherford County Employee Handbook that serve as elected county officials, directors, or department heads supervised by the mayor. And whereas the appointed designee must be placed on personal leave without pay if he or she decides to run for any elected county position, and the leave shall begin once they file their qualifying paperwork with the elections administrator, with approval to use accrued annual leave until the election cycle is complete. Now therefore be it resolved, the rest of one. To the job description, there were some items that were listed in there before that, I won't say as a redundancy, but they were similar, so we took some of those similarities and added them in together, such as being on special task force, special projects. One of the language lines that we had on there was around the contracts and legal documents, drafting and those things, and instead it's changed that to review, because this position, I review contracts and legal documents every day. Most of the department heads, in some form or fashion, in the work that they do, come across that responsibility. So some of those things that were similar in nature, we combined together to make it more seamless and streamlined without ruining the essence of what this person will do. It kind of gives a really good picture. With that, if there are any questions, Commissioner Wood?
Back on the very first page, interview committee shall consist of. There was some discussion, and I can't remember who brought it up in here. It may have been our chairman, that we might want to consider a fifth person, another commissioner, not on steering. I'm just throwing that out there. If somebody wants to make some comment on that, that's fine, and evidently not. And so the fourth one, member of the steering committee to be selected by the committee if we so choose.
That would definitely be something we would need the direction of this body for.
Well, I mean, we can do that right now. That's my point. If the committee wants to do that. committee is unresponsive, Mr. Chairman.
I can't be promised that there will always be cookies, though.
In that case, I'm out.
Well, let me ask another way. Is there anybody on the committee that wants to be part of this interview committee, assuming we want to get a fourth person on there?
Well, I think once we, I assume we vote on this and we'll send it to the full commission next time, I'm assuming, or,
The resolution.
yes, right. I'm assuming once we approve that, we could nominate somebody
Okay.
to serve, unless we wanted to say the vice chairman would always serve on this committee, or, you know,
That
just a.
was not made a part of the resolution. I mean, that's just
Right.
something you guys can.
I was gonna say, you really take care of that now.
Right.
I think before you send it to the full commission, if, like Commissioner was saying, if somebody on the steering committee, or if you think somebody from the steering committee needs to be on this interview committee, then we do that tonight. I don't know, I'm good with the people that's chosen in those positions to handle it like they've handled the situations before. But I mean,
That's fine.
I don't have a problem with somebody from the steering committee being on it neither, you know, so.
Well, the way it reads, it says that a member of the steering committee will be on there if we choose to put one on.
It's only a
Right,
choice
right.
at this point. You know, it's not,
We're not requesting that, we're just offering that if you think that's important to you.
While y'all think about that a few minutes. The other thing, back in the resolution part, on your first sentences, you were talking about to the Board of Commissioners or for the board, you know, from the mayor. I think it's just a more or less a heads up, a courtesy type thing for the steering committee and then for the full commission. We're backing up the mayor's decision. I think it's been said before from Commissioner Farley, you know, the mayor is our CEO. He's the top guy, but he's an elected official just like we're elected, but he's elected by the whole county. We're elected by the different districts of the county. But we're in the final approval of budgetary issues and setting the tax levy and distributing the funds. So it all comes on 21 heads, not actually the mayor's. So we're confirming anything that the mayor wants to do, but we're the end of the road, so to speak. So I think, well, I just put myself in this position. If I was the mayor, I would want a committee to say yes, and I'd want the full commission to say yes on my decision, just so I'm backed up, so to speak. Not saying that the mayor has made a wrong decision or anything. I'm just saying that I would want the backing of the full commission and the steering committee on a situation like this.
I knew that it was important, I just
Yeah.
didn't know which word was the right.
And I hope I
one.
explained that correctly, because I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying,
I
yeah.
understand what you're saying, it's a bit more
Yes.
complicated than that. See, we only have a few people that the mayor can appoint,
Mhm.
that then is brought to the full commission for confirmation,
Mhm.
such as the planning commission members.
Right.
And members from the CUD board and maybe one or two other boards. So there's only a small number that actually go through this process. And quite honestly, we don't know what would happen if I submitted a name for the planning commission and you guys didn't confirm it. I'm asking for a little guidance on that, so that's never happened since I've been here for sure.
And it probably wouldn't happen, I'm just saying.
In this particular case, if this person's gonna serve at the pleasure of the mayor, really, it's almost like the mayor saying, this is the person I've chosen. I put in here that we can allow you to confirm this appointment.
Mhm.
But if you don't, I don't know what happens.
That was my question last time, if you recall. So the mayor comes in with an appointment, and he essentially tells us, which is fine, that who he's going to appoint. And he essentially says, at least it's understood, I guess, he says, well, what do you think? And nobody says anything.
Well,
I don't know if that's good or bad, I don't know, well,
I was
where we
just
go from there.
confident enough in the selection that will be made that we'll get a majority vote.
Well, there'll be no vote, but I'm confident too with you.
well, and that's the thing I'm saying. I'm not talking, we're setting policy here. We're setting procedures for not just today, but way on down the road.
That's right.
Because I'm not gonna be here forever, and the mayor's not gonna be here forever, as a taxpayer and as a citizen, you know, not only, there may be a mayor in there that I don't approve of or whatever someday, and they're not doing the job I don't think they need to be doing, and they get their brother or sister-in-law or something that's totally not, you know, doesn't meet the qualifications, but they've got the job. That's keeping that out of play. And when you've got a steering committee saying, yes, I agree, and when you've got a full commission saying, yes, I agree, then that takes the pressure off the mayor, whoever that person may be in the future. That's all I'm saying. I don't have any problem. I've got all the confidence in the world in the mayor now, and the full commission and steering committee. I'm saying, on down the road, we don't know who those people are going to be, and they're probably going to do the right thing. But this just gives you the backing of more people, more bodies saying yes or no, is all I'm saying.
And I researched a little bit some of the thoughts that you were talking about. There are some department directors within the county that directly report to the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
In those positions, we don't go through this scenario for that. This is a little bit different, unique position.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I looked at though is, it said, if the commission does not like the selected employee, that was one of the things that I looked at. If they do not like that. Well, currently the commission does not select employees that report to the mayor, so that would be no difference. The position is at the pleasure of the mayor, but the final point is the commission could eliminate the position. If a mayor comes in and says, I'm gonna bring in my brother who doesn't have any other qualifications, the commission can say, you know what? We don't like this appointment, and either you could go back and redraft and repost and find somebody with the qualifications, or you could say you eliminated the position, because that is within your authority.
And that's,
As another.
and that's a very good point, because whoever the mayor is, if that person is gonna be my right-hand person, and that's what this job is gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
If I know somebody's gonna have my back,
Mm-hmm.
I wanna be the one that's gonna say, this is who I want. And we've been up here a long time, but the thing about it is, and there's been some commission in the past or in the future that wants to try to micromanage the mayor's office. And if this is a person, if I was the mayor and this is the person I wanted, that's what I want. If it's an unwanted person, we know how to count to 11 real quick up here. And if it's a person that shouldn't be in there, whoever the mayor is and that person picks them, hey, 11 votes, it's out of the budget.
Good thought. Just to throw in one more thing, I remember my father telling me, son, on some important issue, I don't remember what it was, years ago, he said, son, I'll tell you right now, I said, I feel very strongly both ways, which was very helpful. But I'd like to point out here that I can't imagine a mayor doing this, and I think I did say the last time, 10, 20 years down the road here, some commission somewhere is not going to like something, and they're going to be mad at the mayor about something, and they're going to get back at him by denying this. So that's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it, I think much more positive, is that Ms. Nolan and Ms. Stevenson are both on this interview committee, and I cannot imagine either one of them selecting anything like the scenarios that we have just put out there, and as practical as they may be. I've got a tremendous amount of confidence in them, as I assume you do. I don't think they're going to come in with anybody but a top-notch person, so that meets, qualifications, etc. So.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I know you're not. Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all.
You're looking at the politics of the situation and the situation that you and I don't know anything about.
I'm looking on down.
And that has been a concern that has been addressed to me from other commissioners is, is there anything to protect this person's longevity as an employee of the county? Which there's not. I mean, it's a philosophical question. It's more of a question than a statement or a concern. I think, should we do anything to protect it, or is it strictly a political appointee? And I think that's where we are right now, but I just think that's the discussion we're kind of having or need to have.
It's no different, and I'm in that situation right now. I was in that situation before I retired. My position now, I'm appointed in my job with the state of Tennessee. If the governor changes,
You change.
I could change. It was no different at the fire department. I was appointed at the fire department in that position. Hey, if politics could prevail, you're gone. This position is gonna be in the same situation. If the mayor doesn't agree with this person, and if Mayor Burgess picks this person, and say in a year, he doesn't agree with the way things are going, gone. The next mayor comes in, it could be gone. That's just part of.
But there is a downside to that.
It's a big downside.
And I'm not necessarily an advocate for the government of the city of Murfreesboro, okay, which is different. I'm not saying it's better or not, but Mr. Lyons is the city manager, right?
Right.
And he's the active person that does what makes most of the decisions during the day, along with the help of the city council, right? And their mayor, Mayor Bragg, here's one difference. He's got a vote. He's a council member, which Mayor Burgess does not have a vote. So there is that difference there. But Mayor Bragg cannot by himself, and talking about the 11 votes, he cannot by himself remove Mr. Lyons as city manager. So he does have a continuing contract there to a certain extent. Am I right? And
the city manager can be removed on a four-person vote of the city council.
Well, you just made the point a minute ago. I'm disagreeing with you that this person can be cut out of the budget with 11 votes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is essentially the same thing.
Right.
And one of the things someone mentioned was, what if the new mayor comes in and wants their own deputy, which, I mean, I think that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And what would happen to that person? Would there be a transition period? And look back, and really, there's not a transition period. I mean, for any of us. We'll just, any political office that takes place, if a new elected official comes in, their chief deputy can be replaced. Well, really, any of them could be replaced, but by law, their chief deputy can be replaced because that's their right hand. And currently, there's not a transition period for that in any of the other elected officials' offices, and there's not a severance package. We don't offer severance packages to any of our employees, so I can't see that we would offer. I mean, I can understand the stress that this role, but somebody going into it would have to know that this is a possibility. I mean, and that's pretty much all of our constitutional offices. That's where their offices are. I mean, right now.
But if we offered a severance package, I don't guess you're advocating that. But if we did to this individual, I can think of 10 other people that all have a severance package as well.
Exactly.
And I'm
That would
not
be
fixable
expensive.
for that.
Right.
So that's
You
a
gotta do it
problem.
for, if you do it for one, you gotta do it for others. So from a
Including
legal-
yourself, I might add.
Say it again?
I said including yourself.
Yes, sir, including myself.
So does that follow under the right to work state kind of thing as far as, because of the election thing, it doesn't have a line there as far as, the olden days, it's clean house and they put their own people in, and then when the next person's elected, they clean house and they put their own people in, and, I thought that had gotten tighter and everything
It
about.
has, on the public officials, the elected officials that come in, they can take down to a certain rank. But in the mayor's level, that would be this deputy to the mayor. And some of the other elected officials, just going into the sheriff's office, if it's the sheriff's office, they can go down to a certain rank, so chief deputy, commander, those things, down to a certain level. Same in the county clerk's office, the circuit court clerk, register of deeds, their chief deputy could be replaced if they so choose. And that's perfectly admissible because that is your right-hand person, and that's gotta be somebody in a position of trust. So,
I see.
and we're an at-will employer. The state is an at-will employer state, so none of us have an implied contract to work for a certain amount of time or till I so choose to leave or any of those type of things, so.
I just want to confirm one thing. I think I'm hearing that this is an appointment that doesn't need reappointing
That's right.
from 2 years, 4 years, every
Right.
election
Right.
cycle,
Right.
every new mayor.
The new mayor would have an opportunity to retain that person or to replace that person.
Okay. I just want to confirm that. So.
There's no question. As far as the mayor's concerned, give a few examples of directors and employees that you directly supervise that you could just, and I'm not saying you personally, but the mayor, whoever the mayor is, could fire. Like, for example, would Sonia be?
No, Sonia, the finance director and the HR director have been hired directly by the commission.
Okay.
They
So
cannot be dismissed by the mayor.
okay.
All the other department heads could be dismissed.
Like, for example, building and codes,
Yes,
the planning director.
yes.
So I just look at this position as a kind of like another hired employee of the mayor. Works for the mayor, answers to the mayor, and it's the mayor's decision.
I think-
Ultimately, if the mayor wants to, not that he would appoint his wife, but
That would violate
a
our
future
nepotism
mayor,
policy.
yeah. Well, but in other words, we talked about someone we don't like.
What's wrong with Peggy? I like
Yeah.
her. I'm not going.
Now, she'll make some cookies. No,
Maybe.
it's not that, it's somewhat, I want to say it's almost like none of our business if we don't like him or not. It's his employee.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, we want to like the director of Paul's, we want to like the building and codes, we want to work well with them, but it's kind of like it's his employee, whoever the mayor is, let the mayor appoint his or her right-hand man or woman, their decision.
I want to add something to that, because it's really, that's an excellent point. A principal today, if a principal today hires on the good old boy system or good old girl system and hires a mediocre or poor teacher, they're just ensuring their own fate for failure. It's a foolish thing to do.
That's true.
And
they
any
can-
mayor that would appoint somebody that can't do this job, that would be, I don't know, dumb, for lack of a better word. I mean, you better get the best person you can get.
That's right.
But in reality too, if the budget committee during budgetary process wanted to cut this position, they could.
They can cut
We
anybody's
can cut this
position.
position.
Cut that
Right.
Any position, we can cut
Right.
the chief
Please don't
deputy,
point to
one of the
me.
chief.
I really do my job. And I want to do a good job.
We think that would be ill-advised.
Right, right.
I really think, gentlemen, it would be better served if we wouldn't be worrying about this 2 or 3 mayors down the road if we just strike that part that says with confirmation to the Board of Commissioners. I really just think that is purely nothing except a courtesy, and it's gonna raise questions as time goes on.
So you're saying confirmation to
I just say.
the board, not,
Serve at the pleasure of the county mayor, then go to the next whereas.
Yeah.
I really think that's the most appropriate thing.
I'll make
Strike
that-
it
I'll
out.
I'll make the motion that happens.
Motion to strike with confirmation to the Board of Commissioners. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on that motion. Would that be an amendment? There's not a motion. There's not a motion.
Well, I think we're making the motion, this is our motion.
To prove that.
To
Without
approve
this.
that with that.
Resolution deleting that language.
Okay.
well, I hate you doing that, cause I'm for it. I want it to come through the full commission at least. And so you're cutting it out of steering, or not even making it available to steering committee, and then now you're not even making it available to the full commission.
Well, if it's the mayor's appointment to serve at his pleasure, I mean, this other is just really nothing except a courtesy.
I like the courtesy.
But
Well-
yet, someone has to really determine then, if you guys decide not to confirm, what does that mean? That person can't be hired.
I think so.
Well, I don't think that's I just don't think that's a workable situation long-term. I don't have a problem with me, but I think long-term that.
Well, I don't have any problem with you either. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm thinking, we're setting policy here today for the future. Not only today, but for the future. And so, I think as a backup, if I was in the mayor's seat, I'd want people behind me all the time. And I'd want the full commission behind me all the time.
That's fine.
And I think I think they would back me up. If I came to them and said, this is the person I think to do this job.
But, all right, the Paul's director, the superintendent of the workhouse, the fire chief, who else have you put in place since you've been?
Well, the solid waste director.
Solid waste director. I mean,
I understand.
He hasn't,
That's different departments. This is
no.
this is over the whole.
They work for.
I understand, but
for
that's
the mayor.
individual departments. I think this is a bigger deal here.
You're saying
Like I
because they're
said-
not an independent department, they are within the mayor's office, that makes it
But
unique.
Yeah,
the
it
governor
does.
doesn't get the state legislative body to approve his deputy governor.
No.
Approve his cabinet.
The sheriff doesn't get the commission to approve 3 chief deputies that he has.
They may not have a choice because of state statute or mandate.
No, it's not state statute.
So, I mean, we're making the decision right here. We're setting the rules right today. So,
You can-
that's my opinion. I mean, I love you, but I just.
We just have a difference of opinion.
We agree to disagree. That's fine.
It's either the mayor's appointment or not.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You can have my cookie.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that
We
motion?
need to remember, we can fall back on cutting the position out of the budget, which would take
Period.
care of
Yeah.
that person,
Yeah.
which is the reason I'm
You
gonna
can,
go for
but
this.
I mean, we've got some tough decisions here in this next budgetary year that funding is being cut out of.
That's true.
That we've got to make some headache decisions whether we're going to keep those positions. And it's hard to tell a person, I don't care what economy you're in, you don't have a job anymore. So I guarantee you it's going to be very difficult for us to say no to these folks, that we're not carrying on that task anymore. And just like this position or any others, once you start it, there it is. I don't care what you say. And it's tough in the marketplace. It's tough in the government situation too. And anyway, I agree to disagree. I hate it because I do love it. I'm behind it all the way. That's the only hang up I have. So that's the only reason I'll be voting no, Mr. Chairman.
Read the motion, please.
Okay. Approve the resolution as presented with deletion of the wording with confirmation to the Board of Commissioners in the first paragraph.
Any other discussion on the motion? All's in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Records show there are
Got
2 no.
2 noes.
Who was your second?
Motion passes, Commissioner Clark. Before we move on to any other business, do we need to do anything with this
What about your
member?
appointment to the,
That's what I was, the member of the steering, that's
Yeah,
what I was
member
gonna ask.
steering
Do we
committee.
need to do anything with this member of the steering committee? Do we want somebody on there?
Well, I'll make the motion if nobody wants to volunteer. And evidently nobody does. I'd like for our chairman to serve, if he can and would.
No volunteers? I'm happy to. I'd be fine too if the committee.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion and a second. That didn't take long.
You coming to us for confirmation at this point?
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other business?
I'll vote no.
I got a
if it
question.
happens.
I got a question. Since I'm new and I wasn't involved in this process, and
Which, by the way, at the end, I was gonna welcome Commissioner McAdoo to this.
yeah, my question is, to me, all this discussion got started by if we were going to hire an in-house attorney. So, by hiring this deputy mayor, or the mayor hiring a deputy mayor, are we looking at this question coming back up within a year or two, or whatever that we decided in the full commission meeting that we're gonna also hire in-house attorneys?
My personal opinion is no, but that may not be the consensus of the steering committee.
Any one commissioner can bring up anything at any given time.
There's an agreement out
No,
there,
they get a
legal
second.
services agreement out there that can continue to be renewed if the commission chooses to renew it.
So in other words, we're hiring a deputy mayor, but yet and still, within this 1 or 2 year period, whatever it was on the full commission floor that night, we got to have a procedure in place to have in-house attorneys.
I think the in-house attorney idea got voted down from the full commission, didn't it?
That's the reason I'm asking the question. I thought it was a time frame put on it.
It did, but I think this position
1 year.
was, that we're talking about here stems from the in-house.
Well, I think
That's what
I think it's two separate issues. You know, there's the county attorney's position, and then there's the deputy mayor's position. They're really not one and the same. The deputy mayor's position is to help out the day-to-day operations with the county mayor. The county attorney is to give legal advice
To the county mayor.
to the county mayor,
whole county.
and to the whole county.
And the county attorney's position is already in a position. I mean, just so happens that the county attorney position itself, that one position, involves a practice and not an individual, so to speak.
Well, that's the reason I was looking at the qualifications, see, deputy mayor, why didn't it have a law degree or whatever? Because I thought it was stemming from what we discussed in the full commission.
I think some of the commissioners who voted against it felt like the mayor was needing some help. And that's why this came about, not that they would be doing legal advice, though some stuff.
Just need help, period.
Just needed help.
Right.
There's no intention here for this to be a precursor to this person being part of any county attorney department, period. That's completely separate, independent. And I think the discussion regarding an in-house county attorney is off the table until somebody else reinitiates that discussion.
Well, it's off the table for a year,
Yeah.
but this needs to, if we're,
But it will be off the table for more years unless someone else brings it back up. I mean, it's not gonna automatically come back.
Well, you can look for some.
well, we kinda said it was, we said it was coming back up in a
We
year.
said in 1 year it's to be revisited.
But I
and
think,
determined if
I
it's
think
good.
steering committee needs to start coming back up with it like in January.
I'll start
If we're
coming
gonna-
back up or put it to bed, or.
That's exactly right.
Either we can probably go from this committee saying that, we knew the mayor needed additional help, and we thought, the deputy mayor position would, take care of it, and send us something like that to the full commission.
I think some commissioners, and I'm not
Yeah.
speaking for anybody, I know a couple people by name, but I know some commissioners think this, what we did tonight,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
taking place of this
Right.
attorney's position. County, I understand that, but I'm telling you
I
what,
understand that, but
Yes.
it's out there.
yeah.
One other thing I want you to, I've struggled a bit with this title. This person is really not deputy mayor. It's a little bit of semantics here. This person is a deputy to the mayor. In other words, a person that is really a deputy mayor, they have somewhat an extended authority process. This person is assisting with all of this things described in this. We haven't given them mayor's authority
Right.
to make decisions, okay? So this is a deputy to the mayor.
And this deputy does not take over if for some reason the mayor is unable to serve.
Yeah.
No, sir.
And also, I will say this publicly
That's in
too, this position has absolutely nothing to do with President Pro Tem of our commission.
Chairman
body.
Pro Tem.
Chairman Pro Tem, right.
Nothing to do with that, and if I'm
Yeah.
disable or whatever, the commission would still have to appoint an interim mayor. This person has no ability to move into that position.
This person is just gonna help you with the day-to-day operations of the goings on of the county government and setting meetings and do, personnel issues to help you and day-to-day stuff,
Yeah, all
not
these-
governmental
All these two
or
pages of
legislative
things
stuff.
that we've outlined here, which cover everything that they probably won't be doing all of that all of the time, but it gives us the ability to use that person in that role.
And it doesn't, it's not a requirement, but part of the job description, it talks about, could have some business law.
Put business law in there. I mean, if somebody had a law degree, I mean, people
Be
in
a
HR
plus.
have law degrees.
Right.
I mean, that's a bonus, but to say that they're a practicing attorney that will take the place of the attorney, that was not the intent of this position.
No.
And that's why anything that alluded to that, the verbiage was changed, you know, such as, so.
Okay.
Under any other business, I know Commissioner Jordan's got a couple of things, but I was just gonna, if we can get Ms. Taylor to add to the agenda next time, I just wanted to throw this out there for y'all to be thinking about it. I had some commissioners talk to me about, should we look at instituting a time limit for public hearings for each person to speak like we do for public comment period? I don't know legally if we can do that. I don't know anything about that, but I'd like for us to, we've been asked to look at that next month, so I just wanted to put you on notice.
We implemented it on the planning commission that, you know, that this person can speak, and then I think it's 3 minutes or something like we do up here. If that's not enough time, then they come back around again after everybody's spoken. But public hearing, you definitely want everybody to speak. But you know, we've dedicated in planning also that if, say, a subdivision, for instance, if they had a speaker that would speak for a group, then we would give them the leverage or to actually speak longer, you know, because they're speaking for instead of one, they're speaking for 20 or 50 or 100 or something, and putting all of their comments into one person commenting. So it is a touchy situation because, you know, public hearings, especially if people come up here, they need to have the opportunity to speak.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I mean, by doing that, are we shutting them down? I mean, because, you know, we open the public hearing up, and we've asked the people to come and say their say. You know, and a lot of it's redundant. But are we sending the wrong message by doing that?
Personally, I think in as many public hearings that we've been in,
Yeah.
you know, to me, I like the 3-minute time frame. You can say a lot in 3 minutes. Ask Mr. Todd. You know, he's got it down. He knows. I'm not saying this in a bad way. He's got his message, and he
puts a lot of content in.
He puts a lot of content in that 3 minutes, and he's thought about it, and he's come up here and he's prepared.
Well, we can always suspend rules. We can
Sure.
always allow extra time.
Sure.
You know, and I don't know what the ins and outs of what
Sure.
you all do on.
But what I'm saying is that after that 3 minutes, if you haven't gotten what happens a lot of times, once you get through saying something, you go back and you sit down, you're going, I meant to say that. Or nobody has said this. So after it goes all the way back around, nobody else ready to speak. Is there anybody else, you know, the chairman, anybody else need to speak? Before we close the public hearing, somebody else pops up that's already spoken, and they get an additional 3 minutes, you know, to.
Are you suggesting that we put this on the agenda for next time?
That was my thought.
Yeah.
I think we just put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared to.
Heck, I was gonna solve it. Let's go.
Well, you can solve everything.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Commissioner Gordon.
and that was one of the things that I wanted to discuss was the public hearing discussion on possible time limit or whatever, and so we'll just dispense with that discussion until the next time. The other thing I just wanted to ask about, I guess more than anything else, I'd like to, at least us to consider, and it may be there, that if we have a notification of a specific person that we want to get some information to, or a whole group, as we do this time, on all the county residents serving on this committee, do we have a certain policy in place as to how we notify and who does the notification? Do we have anything like that? I mean, I know Ms. Taylor does an awful lot of this kind of stuff.
There's no policy.
No.
Or practice that's consistent.
Well, I think I'd like for us to discuss next time for 15 seconds or 15 minutes, that maybe we need to get a policy in place as to how we're going to handle that, not just us, but every committee.
I think you're gonna have to probably define which categories of information you're talking about distributing to them, but yes, we can work on that.
Are you referring to like if, for example, if we announce a vacancy on the beer board?
Okay, that's.
How are we announcing it?
Right.
Just the chairman announcing it, or is someone
Exactly.
else announcing it? and putting it?
That's one example.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I like to do them all the same way, is my point. I like to have a policy that says, you know, we're going the extra mile to let everybody know.
Mr. Chairman, we still up under any other business?
Yes, sir.
I guess I'd like to bring up a little something that we can put on next month's agenda. The makeup of this BZA board, with the new comprehensive plan that's being put in place or gonna be voted on. Right now, there's not an elected official that serves on it. And, the longevity of it as far as 5 years, I'm just a little uncomfortable because that board is gonna become very, very, important, I guess, to the rural commissioners. I'm not speaking for all, I know for me. I think it needs to be looked into. I know on the planning commission, we got 4 elected officials that's on it. I'm not trying to incorporate more, enlarging the body of it, I don't know. I do think it ought to be a elected official or so on that committee. That's just my opinion. I guess it should be all the rural commissioners.
I agree, but it was, the BZA, when I came on the commission, which was some years ago, we had elected commissioners on that board. And I think you may need to do some research. It was something by law or something in the policy in which the elected commissioners were removed from that BZA. And I can't remember what it was, but we did have commissioners on that BZA. Because I served on it. And we were removed for some reason, some legal reason to move us.
I don't know why that was done, but the BZA, it is authorized by state statute, so we need to research that, review that, and have that information available at the next go-round as to how that committee is designated. So we'll get that information together and we'll put that on the agenda, and at least you can have a report on from the attorney, what the legal makeup of that really can be.
Well, one reason I think it's 5-year term. Elected officials 4. I just, me, I feel a little uncomfortable about that. So.
Okay.
Are you requesting a legal opinion on this issue?
Well, I think, do we need to request a legal opinion, or are you just gonna?
No, I mean,
dig into it?
I don't think we have to have a legal, well, we can request it, yeah, just go ahead and request it if you want to.
That's fine.
I mean, it won't,
Well, is the-
it won't take but just
let me-
open the book up and
Yeah.
read what it says.
Is the planning commission, is it authorized by the state of Tennessee statute? I mean, is that,
It's
I
not
mean,
authorized by statute, does it? The planning commission, quote, per se is authorized by statute, but the number of people that serve on there, I think, has been determined by this
Just
commission,
this body.
I believe. But we'll give you chapter and verse of the BZA membership and the length of terms as outlined in state statute. and see.
well, I got another question.
Well, hang on.
After
Can
we
they-
get, I mean, it'll be next meeting if it,
Is your
Like
request for
Commissioner.
a legal opinion of the BZA, in the form of a motion?
yes,
We have a
absolutely.
second.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Commissioner Jordan.
Mr. Chairman, no motion here, but the principal of Eagleville High School wanted me to tell and you're gonna get an email to this effect, probably already have.
I've received a personal call from
All
this
right, there
lady
you
this
go.
evening.
Eagleville's gonna, among other things, have an open house on Tuesday night. I think they have a meal at 5 o'clock. I haven't read my email yet, but I believe, and an open house, and they're gonna, of course, obviously, in celebration of their new addition and biology lab and classrooms, and a lot of people struggle to get this done. And I think it's a terrific thing. They're very proud of it, and they're very excited there. And if you get a chance to go out there and celebrate with them, that'd be terrific.
Anything else?
Can we put on the agenda about commissioners being 3 minutes speaking? Shit.
And only once.
Only one.
All right, move to adjourn.
So moved.
Move second. All those in favor?
Who is that gonna hurt the most?
Yeah.